Across the water is Johor. And right in front of us is one of the busiest land crossings in the world. We are a major transit hub in the region, and that means we're not just a gateway for people and goods, but also illegal animals. 42 cases of animal smuggling were detected at our borders in 2024, and ICA is showing me how smugglers try to bring these animals in. I have a question for you. What are they doing to my car?
Basically, they are checking your car for any contraband, such as duty unpaid cigarettes, vapes, or smuggling of illegal wildlife.
Has there ever been an incident where you can remember where you had to attend to a case like this?
So there was a vehicle that was flagged out, and then we later found puppies in her backpack.
Is there any other locations where smugglers hide animals when they are coming into Singapore?
So, for example, your car boot.
Yes.
Okay, so the common places of concealment would be underneath, during the spare tire compartment. So your spare tire, they could easily remove, replace it with something else.
Yeah.
They can also hide within the spare tire. And also there's this area, if you notice, it can be easily removed. If they don't have a jack here, they can actually hide multiple animals because it can go all the way in.
Oh.
Okay, we also check beneath the seats.
Beneath the seat?
Yes, and also the dashboards.
How do they hide it behind the dashboard then?
Let me show you. Okay, so this is a normal glove compartment.
Yeah.
But when you push it down, the top area here. There you can see there are a lot of areas that you can hide.
Yeah.
So there is a compartment to hold the airbag.
I see. Okay.
But sometimes Syndicate will remove the airbag and then replace it with the animals. Kitten was actually found in the field with a very, very, very bad condition because it's very near the engine compartment and the heat is insane. So zero ventilation. One of the kittens that we found was barely alive, barely breathing. So there's one last thing left to check.
And that is?
You. It's you.
And is there a reason why there is such a need to enforce these illegal wildlife trade in Singapore?
Firstly, we do not know where the animals come from. And we don't know what kind of disease they bring into Singapore.
Cases of animal smuggling detected at our checkpoints are handed over to NParks for investigation.
Thank you, sir.
Stopping the illegal wildlife trade is a global effort. At the Centre for Wildlife Forensics, science helps to trace specimens back to their origins.
Why we set up in 2021 was because in 2019 we had, I would say, record-breaking haul of wildlife commodities seized in Singapore. Back then, if we add up all 3 seizures, it was a total of 37.5 tons of pangolin scales and 8.8 tons of elephant ivory.
In layman terms, right, how many pangolins would that equate to?
Okay, so we did an estimation of the different seizures. It's almost up to a total of 40,000 pangolins.
40,000
Yes, 40,000 pangolins. Yeah, understand most of the time the animals will have to be slaughtered, like killed, before they can harvest the tusks, before they can remove scales from the animal. So like I mentioned about processed ivory, right? So it doesn't just come in tusks, but it's like semi-processed. This came in the April seizure. And then over here, not to be mistaken as like fish, seashell or fish scales. These are actually African pangolins. In the July seizure, the 8.8 tons, this ivory elephant tusk that was part of the seizure. And if you can see here, all this like
why is it cut up?
Yeah, so this is where the DNA work happened. This is where we extract square pieces of the from the tusk, and then for the specimens to be broken down further for DNA analysis.
This is the extraction room where we do our DNA extraction. Yeah, so of any kind of sample that comes in. So we need to actually process that small piece of sample into this powder.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks something like this, powder.
It looks like salt.
If you don't do any processing, you will end up in this solid form.
Oh.
But if you were to do some processing, you will end up as a clear liquid.
Oh yeah.
So this is actually part of this, but it's after processing.
Okay.
So we spend time trying to get as much DNA as possible and high quality DNA so that we can use this for our subsequent experiments.
3 parts are very important. What animal is it? Where this animal is found, and who this animal is. That means the individual. So now we have answered what animal is it. The next step we will move forward to where this animal is found. And this we will, for elephant wise, we are using genotyping. That means to provide a genetic profile of an elephant. So for example, over here we use 16 DNA location. That means 16 location on the elephant's DNA strand to tell us where these elephants are found.
Alright, so in my hands right now is an actual African elephant tusk that was seized during the case in 2019. So it feels really heavy, and I don't know if you guys can look at the inside of it. You can see the inside of it. So if you are caught importing or exporting any form of ivory, you may face the maximum jail term of 8 years and may face a $1 million fine. So with all the suffering the animal goes through, you think whether it's worth the price or not.
So there are a lot of birds here. I think there are at least 100. I'm pretty sure there's a competition going on. Alright, Doctor, so what are some other issues that are present in the illegal songbird wildlife trade?
So apart from, the obvious things like the poor welfare of birds and also high mortality rates, many birds don't survive being transported in the illegal trade. The songbird trade comes with certain downstream problems, such as, the introduction of non-native species into, say, for example, Singapore. And with the unintentional introductions of non-native species comes the introduction of disease.
So what drives the demand for these songbirds?
So the demand for songbirds ultimately stemmed from a lot of people here in this part of the world thinking that keeping songbirds as pets is a part of their culture or their tradition. Some of them want to keep them as, they like birds, they want to keep them as pets, as companion animals and hear their songs every day. Some of them want to keep them for social status, and then competitions, right? And this is actually where we are now, is an example of a songbird competition site.
How can someone own these songbirds responsibly since they are heavily illegally traded?
So responsible ownership really boils down to a few things, a few key things. One is obviously as a bird keeper is to do research, right, about your birds and find out whether your birds are threatened by the trade. The other big thing now, because a lot of this bird trade is going online, is to actually stop buying birds online. So I think as a general bird keeping society, right, we should start pushing for better records keeping. And only when the society changes, right, then you start seeing demand shift from wild-caught birds to more sustainable sources or captive bred birds.
Many illegal wildlife are surrendered or confiscated. Some of them end up here.
You're about to step into our mini sanctuary. The place is just full of improvised enclosures that we built for our animals. So our whole goal is not to keep the animals here forever. Our whole goal is to actually take care of them when they get abandoned or when someone, if the animals get confiscated or if someone surrenders them to us, rehabilitate them and then repatriate back to the country of origin. But maybe the first animal I'll show you is our Indian star tortoises.
Indian star tortoises?
Yeah, so as the name suggests, they are from India and they are a very common species in the illegal wildlife trade.
What's so special about them that makes them so sought
that
after?
is a question that all of us at Acres often ask ourselves. But I guess at the end of the day, humans have a curiosity. They often want something unique, and the star tortoises patterns are attractive to some people. So as a result, there's a demand, and then the smuggling will continue. So the next animal that I'm going to show you are our critically endangered radiator tortoises, and they are poached heavily. A few years back, I tried to repatriate them back to Madagascar, but I had difficulties because the people in Madagascar themselves, the officials, they did not know where to actually release these animals because the poaching is so rampant. Yeah, so it's very sad.
What resources are needed to care for all these animals here? I see a lot of them.
So it's a lot of money. I mean, right now, I can just simply answer by saying at Acres, just to keep all this care going, on top of all our other focus areas, at Acres we spend about nearly 150K a month. So I wanted to show Victor to you because he is a good example, or rather maybe a bad example of what happens in the illegal trade. So unlike all of other animals, Victor was actually rescued from the Changi Airport transit area itself.
Sorry, I'm finding it hard to believe. How did a turtle even get to a transit area?
So it's one of those clear-cut incidences where obviously someone tried to smuggle the turtle. We don't know whether smuggle in or smuggle out. And maybe they felt worried, maybe they were scared, and they probably just dumped the animal at the transit area.
So for these animals that are illegally traded, right, how do they affect our ecosystem, like our native ecosystem and native wildlife?
So it's harmful to our ecosystem because they can drive out some of our native species. For example, in Singapore, the radio slider terrapins have driven out our native million box turtles. Yeah. So you hardly see the million box turtles in our waterways or in our nature reserves anymore. But is it the animal's fault? Is it the terrapin's fault? No, it's our fault because we are the ones who brought them in. We are the ones abandoning them. So yeah, when an animal gets released into our ecosystem, two things can happen. One is they cannot adapt because our climate, our environment is different. So they slowly die a slow death. If they do survive, then they can potentially become invasive, which can cause problems for our native wildlife.
Singapore is already a home to a number of non-native wildlife species, and they have established themselves in our local habitats. You showed me earlier that white squirrel, it's a variable squirrel?
Variable squirrel, yeah.
Yeah, and now this one is I just see it's brown. So what's the difference between them?
So this is the plantain squirrel. It's a native squirrel that we have commonly found in our parks, as well as some of the forested areas. While the variable squirrel is actually introduced species. So it wasn't found in Singapore, but might have made its way here possibly through the pet trade. So the distinction between introduced and invasive is that when we talk about invasive species, we are talking about species where there's a detrimental effect to the biodiversity within a certain site.
Since they are living in the same area, is there enough resources to go around?
Introduced species can sometimes outcompete some of the native species for whether it's food or within the habitats as well. The fact that the plantain squirrel still manages to coexist with the variable squirrel seems to suggest that there might still be enough resources for them, but it may not always be the case. It's been well documented that when people introduce species from some other parts of the world, certain species might become extinct and get wiped out due to the competition that they face. Yeah. So today we are at Bidadari Park. It's one of a newly opened park within Bidadari Estate. Okay. It's quite rich in heritage and also ecology.
So before this became a park, what was it used for?
Bidadari is home to where Bidadari Cemetery used to be, and it's also quite an important haven for birds, particularly migratory birds, that will use this as a stopover site. So NParks together with HDB and also the Nature Society of Singapore did come together to try to explore ways to better conserve the site so it can continue to support the rich biodiversity that makes use of this site, while meeting the needs of the new residents within Bidadari.
Building homes for us, how do we make sure we don't disrupt the ecosystem since it's a home for wildlife as well?
A lot of thought goes into understanding a site, taking a science-based approach to then look at how we can conserve the biodiversity within. Yeah. As an island city-state, the kind of land use pressures that we have is really quite immense. We need to continually find space for people to work, live and play, and that also includes green spaces that not only are for people to enjoy but also for wildlife to thrive. So there's always that tension, and I think what's important is careful planning and stewarding of the limited land that we have. And I think Bidadari Park is an example of how you can actually try to sensitively marry the different needs, whether it's development needs, along with conserving the biodiversity within the site.